Good morning. It is a very special day here as we gather together, as the light is coming through these windows, which probably are well over 100 years old. We're not the first people to sit in these pews, and we won't be the last, but we're part of a stream of people over time who are journeying together to think about how do we love in this big, big world. On your order of service, you see a photo of a lotus flower in a muddy pond. And there is a Buddhist teaching that says, no mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. Out of the struggle, the false starts, the hard things that can happen in our week, our response to that, how we choose to respond to those hard times, that's how we cultivate the lotus or the flower or the possibility in our lives. So in that spirit, let us honor the lotus and the mud. And I now invite one of the youth in our congregation, Eric Michaels, to come forward and light the chalice, a symbol of our Unitarian tradition and faith.
Yeah, I got some candles for you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so in our congregation, we light a chalice as a symbol of our faith and compassion. Originally, the chalice was used as the symbol of the Unitarian campaign to help refugees fleeing dictatorships during World War II. Today, we light a chalice to remind us that love and truth matters, even in hard times. I invite you to join me in lighting our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We light this chalice in the search for truth and the spirit of love. We unite in worship and fellowship.
Please turn in your grace hymnal.
Wait. Not yet.
Not yet.
There you go. Good. Not done. Okay. As an extension of lighting our chalice, I want to take a moment of silence, and thank you, Eric, to light these 3 candles for some of the names of those who have been affected by police brutality. We cannot cover all the names of those affected. We light a candle for Maria Pike. We light a candle for Christopher Loyo. We light a candle for Nicholas Sides. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim that Black Lives Matter. In addition, we are lighting a 4th candle to recognize the impact of war on so many innocent people. May we find a way to live in peace.
Now, turn in your grace hymnal to number 118, This Little Light of Mine. Please stand and join in 118. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
We will now pause for meditation. I will offer a prompt to focus our meditation and then sound the singing bowl. At that point, I invite you to begin the meditation with 3 deep breaths. After a few minutes, I will sound the singing bowl again to mark the end of our time. Our meditation prompt today comes from Thich Nhat Hanh and says, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out.
I'm in our service for something a little different as we come to the changing of seasons, really, as fall is coming to an end very soon and summer begins. We're in a moment where young people in a variety of ways are learning, whether that is in the library, whether that is in a study group, whether that is in independent school or private school or public school or home school. This is a time of year where many people are dedicated to recommitting to learning. I hope we all can do that, but especially our young people right now are in a time and a moment of recommitment. And what I want to invite all of us to do right now is, first, I have a question. How many people here have a backpack? Oh my gosh. How many people have a backpack with them? Could you stand up if you have a backpack with you? Could you stand up if you usually have a backpack? Yeah, go, Sal. All right. How many people have a notebook? Oh my goodness. Well, if you have a notebook with you today or usually, would you mind standing up? Oh my gosh, this is a room of learners and writers. Whoever you are, wherever you are in this sanctuary space or watching online, I invite you to put your hands together and think of an intention that you wish to give to these learners. Young learners, elder learners, all learners, everyone. What is the intention that you wish to give to these learners? And wherever you are, imagine that intention has become almost like a snowball. And for those who have a backpack in this room, or who use it many times in the week, get ready to receive many intentions. I invite you, if you're holding an intention in your hands, to throw it in the air. And if you have a backpack, open it up. And if you have a backpack at home, keep your hands open and catch those intentions. Intentions for love, intentions for peace, for learning. In this, and you may sit, yes, thank you. There are 2 chalices, there are 5 candles. But in the second ceramic chalice, up in front, there are special bookmarks, which we are about to bless. And we are going to use the prayer that comes to us from the Czech Unitarians, that they use in a ceremony quite often to dedicate flowers as a symbol of our diversity and connection. So in a moment, I'm going to bless these bookmarks, and then I want to invite Eric and John to come forward. And then after these are blessed, Eric and John anyone who is a young learner, that is someone under the age of 18, you will get a bookmark to accompany you for your learning this year. And all of us in different ways are learners, but especially for young learners, say you're trying to figure out how to change the world or just get through the week, and you need a place to remember what page you're on, you can use that. But also remember that there is a community of people all over who have just sent intentions for you to be surrounded by love and care this year. So even if you're having a bad week or if things are going hard, there is a room of people, and I don't know how many people all over the country watching this who have just sent love and intentions to you. You're not alone. I invite Eric and John to come forward. And our blessing comes to us from the Czech Unitarians. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amidst diversities of knowledge and gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to holy love. May they remind us of the value of friendship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts of life. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. And these tools of learning are blessed, and they are now distributed to you. Thank you. May you have peace and confidence and comfort in the days of your learning, in the week ahead and to come. Thank you. You can pass them out.
Please turn in your gray hymnal to number 402. From you I receive.
And I now invite forward John Michaels, who will lead us in a responsive reading.
As Unitarian Universalists, we draw upon and are inspired by sacred, secular, and scientific understandings to seek wisdom and practice compassion. Our reading today is from the Reverend John Behrens, former president of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. Our reading can be found in the back of our gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, and is listed as reading number 728. I'll begin reading, and the congregation is invited to read the italics. Blessed are those who yearn for deepening more than escape, who are not afraid to grow in spirit.
Blessed are those who take seriously the bonds of community, who regularly join our celebration and prayer, who come as much to minister as to be ministered unto.
Blessed are those who bring their children, who invite their friends to come along to join in fellowship, service, learning, and growth.
Blessed are those who support the church and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving, and who give of themselves no less than their money.
Blessed are those who know that the church is often imperfect, yet rather than harbor feelings of anger or disappointment, bring their concerns and needs to the attention of the church leaders.
Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who realize that change is brought about through human means, who do the work of committees and stay till the end.
Blessed are those who speak their minds in meetings, who can take and give criticism, who keep alive their sense of humor.
Blessed are those who know that the work of the church is the transformation of society, who have a vision of beloved community, transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change.
Blessed are they indeed.
This year, I'm very excited that through the work of volunteers and people who stay the end of committee meetings, we will have a religious exploration program at least once a month, every second Sunday throughout the congregation year. This first Sunday, if your child is under 10, you are invited to join with wonderful Marge and Alec in the religious exploration program in a little room around the vestry. It'll be a little more interactive, a chance to get to know other kids and families, especially this Sunday, if you are able as a parent to join for this first session. I think it'll be important just to develop relationships. As we go further on in the year, it may be something that the kids can just go to themselves, but especially this Sunday, if you are a parent who'd like their child to participate, please come on over with Marge. We have a really fun experience. Once that, as children begin to do that, we are going to sing a special hymn of blessing for religious exploration as this year starts, which is number 413 in the hymn book. Go now in peace. Oh, and before you go, we'll sing to you. Okay. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you. When we gather in multi-generational community, there is a special energy. When we make time to reflect on what we are called to do, there is special energy. And one of the beautiful holy experiments of our faith is trying to figure out how do we create spaces to journey together, to create separate spaces at times for deeper work that's more age appropriate. And it's always an experiment, and we're still learning and growing. And I'm grateful to be with you as we work on this vision of connection and growth and support together. Sarah Rachel has a powerful poem and reading that she would like to offer us, and then we will have our ritual of joys and sorrows. Thank you.
Just recently, Peace Action Staten Island hosted an event here at the church where they showed a documentary on Gaza and the journalists, and there have been over 200 journalists have been killed by the Israeli military. It focused on 3 journalists, and these brave souls have been able to show us the pictures and the stories of what's going on in this horror. And it prompted me to write a poem called Children of Gaza. The wind blows and the sand swirls And what do I see? I see their little gaunt faces as they press their bodies against the fence, holding out their pots and pans, hoping to get something to eat. I see their little bodies kneeling over a white shroud and names scrolled on top, crying for a dead relative, shot down while trying to get food. I see them in their tents, licking their plates, hoping to get something more than hay, but it doesn't come. Why should this be that one group hated through history now turns to hate someone else? It says in the Bible that you cannot stand idly by while your neighbor bleeds, but we do anyway. Bob Dylan wrote, "How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see?" But we do anyway, and the suffering continues. Now is the time in our service for joys and sorrows, and if you're visiting us for the first time, this is the time when you can introduce yourself. For those who are gathering in person, we invite you to raise your hand and then stand where you're seated, and I'll give you the microphone or share your joy or sorrows. We invite you to share what's in your heart. For those who are joining online, we invite you to type it into the chat box and your joys and sorrows, and Sally will read them aloud. We invite you to share what's also in your heart.
Thank you, Sarah, for that poem. Yeah, great. Moving. My name is Sally Jones. I am currently the vice president of the church because you elected me. And we are having a community meeting, a church council meeting right after you have your coffee. It's all set up in the room, and I invite everybody, whether you're a committee chair or a congregation or just curious, please join the church council at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric. John and I will be performing at the Westerly Folk Festival this Saturday. We'll be playing with Joan Cadell and the Midnight Choir, and we'll be playing our own tune with them. Or actually, sorry, it's not our tune, but sorry. So it's at Westerly Park. I don't know what time it is. Yeah. We're playing at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Hi, I'm Juliet, and reacting to Sarah's poem, I just want to remind everybody, or you probably don't even know, that we're doing a letter campaign to divest New York State pension funds from Israeli government bonds. This is something that was done in New York City, but has not yet happened in New York State. So it's just one evening, the 24th of this month, at 7 o'clock, and we ask you to come. We'll give you the supplies. You just write a letter to the comptroller. We'll have everything set up. And my co-chair is Chelsea, so you can speak to her about it. And so I welcome everyone, and we'll have refreshments, and we'll also able to be social. So my joy and my sorrow. So my sorrow is, my mom's disabled and she has home care. Her aide just quit abruptly with no warning. So that was difficult, but working with the agency, we were able to get someone else, thank goodness, after one day. So we have a new aide, and it's always apprehensive because, my mom is used to the prior person, and you hope that the new person is nice. Anyway, she was very nice. And we were talking about our current political situation. She's Mexican. And I don't know if anybody remembers, about a month ago, ICE stormed a marijuana farm in California and a man was killed. So there were people working there and they blocked off the road. So she said, you know, the news didn't really report the full story, and she actually had 2 cousins who were working in that farm. So this is how the man died. ICE flooded the duct system with tear gas in the building. And he was on, they were all hiding in like the roof and the duct system. So this man became, you know, sick and affected by the tear gas, and he fell off the building and died. And her 2 cousins hid for 12 hours in the duct system until ICE left. So I just want to say, let's make racism, bigotry, and racial profiling discredited and not acceptable in polite society, including our public discourse. Let's make people who convey these disgusting and dangerous ideas unacceptable in polite society, in our personal lives, and everywhere. And I really ask that white people examine the people around you. If you hear racism from family members, as I have, and probably everybody has, we have to check it, because unchecked, it will lead to horrible things like innocent people dying. So that's what I ask all my white brothers and sisters to do. So that is my sorrow, is that we have to address this in our society and in our families. And my joy is that I know that there's a lot of people who don't share these values, and we will be able to protect others if we act. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Bonnie. I just wanted to say, joys and sorrows. I'm filled with joy today to see so many people here that I haven't seen in quite some time, like since, June. And it's just really nice to be back. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week for the first Sunday of the fall, but it's just so nice to be here. And I just want to say how grateful I am to, I know it takes a lot to make a service like this happen, from the minister who leads the service down to the person who sweeps the floors. And there's just so many people who work so hard to make this happen. And I'm just really grateful for everyone who plays any part in that. And I'm just filled with joy to be here.
Hello, my name's, oh, you want me to hold it? Sure. Oops. Hi, I'm Marisa, and my joy this week is that a very dear friend of mine celebrated their birthday yesterday. He is an amazing person, filled with hope and love for my very best friend, Chelsea. And I adore them both, and I feel so blessed to know Brett. So happy birthday, Brett.
Thank you.
Nice to see you guys.
Likewise. Hi, Gary. So I apologize in advance for the whiplash here. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But I'll start with my sorrow. My mom was admitted into the ICU unresponsive in July, and she's been in the hospital ever since. She's since then become responsive, and but they had to intubate her, and now she's on a ventilator. I'll spare the details, but she's not on the tube anymore. So now the goal is to wean her off of the ventilator, because she's been on it for over a month now. And that's been rough. It's all kinds of things that I'm processing, I think. But, and here comes the whiplash. In this Friday, Godfrey and I will be going to Japan.
For 10 days.
Yes, 10 days on vacation. Do you wanna?
No, that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that, but it also means we won't be here for Sunday. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody? Oh, Carol?
My name is Carol. I have both a sorrow and a joy. The sorrow is that my friend Carolyn, my neighbor for 25 years, passed away last week. I'm going to miss her terribly. And the joy seems petty in the light of all that's going on in the world. But my granddaughter Gemma is 18. She's an ocean certified lifeguard, and she's been working on Long Island the past 2 summers. This August, she competed for the national championship in California, and then she and 3 others in her age group from 16 to 19 were chosen to compete in the international competition in New Zealand in November. So that's pretty neat, I guess, for someone who can barely paddle, you know, so anyway, thank you.
Hi, good morning, I'm Chris Johnson. So in light of everything that's going on in the world, I'm putting that aside for the moment while I'm here at church. So I'll just share like a little personal joy. So yesterday was the fence show at Snug Harbor. The Staten Island Museum has been organizing the fence show for 1,000 years. Last year, they got rained out on the 2 consecutive days, so it was great to get back because it's kind of like, you know, returning community, and you get to hopefully see tons of people you know, besides the artwork. I saw Nancy there, I saw a whole bunch of folks, and it's just great to kind of be back in the swim of seeing people at, you know, one of my favorite locations and seeing some wonderful artwork as well. So the other thing that I always go with Amy and my granddaughter Violet. John couldn't make it yesterday. And yesterday we finally did, Chris Johnson, with a K, is a photographer that a lot of people I think know. He generally does a lot of portrait work in black and white. So he always sets up a little tiny booth and folks can have pictures taken. Obviously, you know, you pay for his services. So we did a 3-generation, you know, picture. And it was just a great experience, and the 3 of us look adorable. You know, so now we have a new family keepsake and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great day, and seeing everybody was great. And the real world continues to spin around us with everything that's going on.
Hi, I'm Robin Lockmonda, and my joy today is being here. It's a lovely day to be here. The sunshine is wonderful, so this is wonderful. It's not a sorrow, but something that's coming up is I'm having my left shoulder replaced this coming Thursday. So what that means is for about a week afterward, because I've had the right shoulder done already, and I know this experience, I will be attempting to pull up my pants and put on my top with one arm, which is very hard to do, and you kind of wind up looking lopsided and hoping that somebody can help you with the other half. So. Yes. Oh.
Hi, I'm sorry, returning gauge. I'm looking over to my friend Ruth, and she's kind of giving me a sign like she's not going to tell us that it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so it's Ruth's birthday today, and, you know, well on her way to a gazillion million more, which I wish for all of us.
Anybody else? Oh, Carol.
I have what is right now a joy. I hope it doesn't turn into a sorrow. A Facebook friend of mine, Layla Hagazi, is on a flotilla going to Gaza to bring aid. Yesterday they were in Tunisia, so they're getting there, and I just hope everything is okay. Thank you.
Sally, have anybody online?
Nobody put anything in. There are people online, but they were quiet.
Everybody's quiet, okay. Okay, well, thank you for sharing your joys and sorrows with us and for those held silently in your hearts. Now's the time in our service where we take an offering. We know it's the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather. For those attending in person, we'll pass the collection plate. Please use the envelopes in the pew. Write your name in that and indicate if your offering is part of a pledge or a donation. For those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate to the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will be greatly received.
See the sun in the morning, peeking over the hill. I'll bet you're sure it always has, and sure it always will. That's how I feel about my friends, how my friend feels about me. We're sure with every shoulder, that's the way we'll always be. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money, maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel along, singing a song, side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow, maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel alone, sharing the load, side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they're all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song, side by side.
Now please turn in your great hymnal to number 399, but we've got an extra treat this morning. Sarah will sing this song through in Hebrew, and then we will follow with the English version. 399, go ahead and stand up.
Everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And every
As we gather in a community this morning, I just invite us to take a brief moment to consider all we've experienced, even just in these minutes past. Moments of great joy, realities of deep sorrow. And we honor them. We honor them. There is an old 19th century hymn that once upon a time was, probably one of the top 10 in our congregations generations ago. And it was "Once to Every Soul and Nation." It was from the poet James Lowell. And the opening line was, "Once to every soul and nation comes the moment to decide in the strife of truth with falsehood for the good or evil side. To side with truth is noble. To side with truth is noble." And this song was very popular among Unitarians of ages past because it emphasized something that's still true today in our tradition, which is that it's important to make a choice. It's important to make a choice. Every person in this room this morning and online made a choice to connect with a progressive religious community on a Sunday morning in 2025. And that is because all of us in our different ways found some reason, some necessity to say, in a time of tumult and upset and anger and fear, it is important to be together. The late theologian Sophia Lyon-Fahs, who lived to be nearly 100 years old, was for generations the religious educator in Unitarian Universalism. She wrote curriculums and traveled around the country. She taught and mentored many. And for her, the question for Unitarians, but even more than that, just for progressive religious folk in general of multiple traditions, was how do we educate for a changing religion in a changing universe? For Sophia, the whole point was nothing is constant. Nothing is constant. And with that truth, what values, what skills, what toolkits, what rituals can we bring along on our journey to help us and those coming after us to experiment and to grow? Over the course of the 200 years that Unitarians and Universalists have existed in the North American continent, there have been a lot of different answers to that question. What do we do? What's the purpose of our religious education? And I think most beautifully, it's just ask, what do we teach our children? If you go back in different moments, people had different answers. In the early 19th century, there was a whole school of thought that was like the point of a Unitarian Sunday school was to help young people memorize the parables of Jesus, like the Good Samaritan. That was the whole point, to teach ethics as understood from the old Jesus stories. But there were also Unitarians at that time who had a deep, abiding love of nature. We call them today the Transcendentalists. You might remember them from English class a long time ago. But these are individuals who saw that there was something sacred in the trees outside that also connected us to one another, that all of life was sacred. And for the Unitarians of the Transcendentalist school, instead of memorization of the wisdom stories, they emphasized experiments. Elizabeth Peabody and others encouraged children to garden, to go out into the world and work in the land, but also to pay attention to what was going on around them. The motto of these old transcendentalists was love the good and live the good. And they felt the purpose of Sunday school was to engage with the world, to focus on experience. And today, we inherit both of these legacies. A focus on understanding and wrestling with ancient sacred wisdom stories, and also keeping our eyes open and alert to what is happening around us. And we live in such a busy time. Such a busy time full of beautiful things and also so many distractions. It is countercultural that we sit down for 4 minutes and meditate, and no one's speaking. No one's telling us what to do with that time. We are walking into a space where we can have an encounter with ourselves, with the sacred, with silence, and see what happens, what we have been holding back. It is a sacred, disruptive moment, perhaps, in our week. After that hellish war, World War II, the Universalist Angus MacLean said, for all of us, whatever our age, the purpose of this religion should be the method as our message. What this means is if a congregation's work is limited to giving good verbal counsel and in no way a community response to the world's ills, we likely don't mean what we say. And we will not teach anything better than what we do and what our behavior declares. Around the same time, Sophia Lyon-Fahs said this, our direction needs to be forward. It is not our ancestors who will be changed by what we do. It is our contemporaries and our descendants for generations to come for whom we should be feeling responsibility. She said, life doesn't go backward. Life doesn't spend its time in yesterday. And these are not unchallenging ideas. For even today, most progressive religious traditions try to do a balance of emphasis on reason, sacred scriptures, tradition, and experience. If any of you grew up as Methodists, you might remember that old quadrilateral of like Bible, reason, tradition, experience. But Unitarians and Universalists for well over 150 years have prioritized experience, personal experience, community experience, and just your own sense of the world applying as reason as the two predominant values, even more so than the wisdom stories and ritual. Saying it's not just that those stories exist, but what do they mean for you? And it's not just that we have rituals, but how do we use them and adapt them and change them? Sophia Lyon said, let us encourage children to look for evidences of divinity within this universe. What is holy and sacred is here right now, not somewhere else. And this is a beautiful tradition, and at its most beautiful, this focus on experience has led to whole congregations organizing field trips to visit different houses of worship, or children studying and learning about their relationships and sexuality through Our Whole Lives curriculum, or organized field trips and service projects in the community to engage and work for justice, or time for reflection to think about what do we really believe, and invite space and time in our pulpits to share poems and stories that are reflecting the truths that we encounter as we go through the world. At its least successful, when we focus on experience so much, we end up with circumstances where sometimes children will grow up as Unitarian Universalists and then be 30-year-olds who say, I don't actually know what Unitarians believe. I know what other religions believe. I know that service is a good thing, but I don't actually know our stories. I don't know the stories of my congregation or my people. We don't want that to happen. Reverend Galen Gingrich once wrote a beautiful essay where he suggested that in this century, we need to really almost go to PT for the ritual muscle in Unitarian Universalism, which he felt was a little underdeveloped. And what Reverend Galen did was suggest that one practice that we can try as people in our families, with our friends, is before dinner, make time to just share a gratitude from the day. And he suggests, what would it mean if Unitarians, Unitarian Universalists, progressive religious folk became known as gratitude people? So that when you went to a meal or a dinner or a lunch with a Unitarian Universalist, there'd just be a moment at the beginning where you'd say, what are you grateful for? Let's share. And that might seem trite. But what Reverend Galen's suggesting is through this experience, through a consistent ritual, through this really grace in some respects, there can be a reorientation of space and time. And just like this invitation to meditation can disrupt our week and maybe give us a moment of pause and restoration, a moment of gratitude, even if it's once a week, might disrupt our patterns with one another. Reverend Galen said he did this because he was asked by a congregant who said, my 12-year-old was on the playground with her Jewish and Catholic friends, and the topic of religion came up, and they asked her what Unitarians believe. And she found it somewhat hard to respond. And the congregant said, Reverend, is there a playground-ready answer for this? And then Reverend Galen was like, well, I bet my daughter has the best answer. So then he asked his own daughter, whose name is Zoe, which means life. So he said, Zoe, what would you say? And then he said, my daughter's answer was orthodox to a fault. Zoe replied, Unitarians believe whatever we want. Dad. And he said, that answer is true in that we create a sanctuary for all people, a house of study, reflection, service, where whoever you are, whatever your belief, as long as you're committed to loving and kindness, this is your temple. Yes, that is true. But he thought, we have to be for a little bit more than this. He said, it's as if my daughter's friend asked, where do you live? And she replied, I'm free to live wherever I want. What is the tradition? And we've spent so much time emphasizing over decades experience and reason as religious values. Reverend Galen and other ministers and lay leaders and just people on the street saying, what else is there? And Reverend Galen's suggestion to us as a faith tradition is to say gratitudes. And there are as many answers to that question as there are people in this room. But I think the sacredness of it is, what do we hold? What do we lift up? We use pulpits. We use spaces of reflection to lift up not only ancient scriptures, but we do that, and not only contemporary life, but we do that, but to try to find what is beautiful, true, and meaningful in our lives. And our religious heritage, at its best, has this balance of engaging with study and personal development and community responsibility and self-awareness and looking at the world and learning from the wisdom stories and growing and changing. When we bless backpacks and notebooks, when we honor the quest that we are on in a changing religion, in a changing world, we are part of a people over time trying to pursue hope in a nation that we know is hurting, in a world that has so much painful cruelty, everyday cruelty. And we commit ourselves to gather in buildings and sing songs and meditate and learn and reflect because, in the words of Reverend Wendy Von Corder, we try to create a space for a faithful risk. The biggest challenge, I think, to progressive religion today is not right-wing religion, but apathy and cynicism. The deep belief that what we do doesn't really matter. The cards are set. What are you going to do? I'm just going to stay home and try to keep my head down. We say there is a third way between traditional fundamentalist interpretation and just tagging out. That we can gather in a community, work together, nurture community, make mistakes, apologize, try again, and over time, offer something that can be available for our friends and families and neighbors and communities to say that hope can be organized and we can show up when it hurts. And it won't always work, but it is worth trying and learning and growing. Because like Sophia, who nearly lived a century, reminded us, we are part of a changing religion in a changing world. May we be prepared to grow and learn from yesterday and today and take a faithful risk. May we grow. May we grow in love, and may we grow in compassion, and may we be faithful to those ideas and people in this world unfolding. May it be so. Our closing hymn is a beautiful one called "There is a River Flowing in My Soul." And just like last week, we had a beautiful water ceremony. Think about that ceremony and those rituals as we connect to that river flowing in our soul.
1007 in your keel.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my mind.
And now we invite Eric forward to lead us in the extinguishing of our chalice.
The gathering has ended. Now our service in the world begins. I invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As Eric offered that extinguishing for us, thought about that window, the rose window behind us, which is actually older than this sanctuary building. It is from the second Unitarian Church of Staten Island, our second building, which was destroyed in a terrible storm. But that stained glass was preserved and used in this, which is the third building. So as Eric did that ritual with us, I just thought back to that window's from 1877. So just thinking about all of the people who have interacted with this story of hope and possibility over the years. So may we go in hope and peace and compassion and connection and bring that hope, connection, and abiding commitment in all our interactions now and in the days ahead. May it be so.
song, a travel song, when you gotta go somewhere. 'Cause the fun is getting there. Yeah! Oh, what the heck? I just got confess. I love a road trip. Sing a song on the trail. Forget the maps, forget the guides. Before you know it, you've made strides with me. And I know all I need of a song. It's a perfect, sensible song, so I'm singing and I'm ballad with you.
And so ends our service, so please join us in the parish hall for hospitality.